Hello everyone, my name is Kwame Gwenza. This is your favorite channel where we talk about geopolitics, history, uh, and current affairs as regards to Africa. Today, what I wanted to talk about is that the systems, the political systems, or any systems, and the support for those systems. So basically, the support for systems by people. And then when I talk about systems, it may be systems in corporations, it may be systems in country, the systems which are running in countries. Like, for example, you can say that General Electric went and took a system from Japan, things like the Lean, the 5S, and all these systems that they implemented them in the United States because they saw how the Japanese were doing things. So when it comes to the Western system of democracy in Africa and how it has been working, there is a political scientist from China called Eric Lee, and if you are interested, you can check him out on YouTube. You just type in Eric Lee, and he will come out, and you will see that the support of any system, whether political or what, depends on the functionality of that system and whether it has been able to deliver the goods to the people who support that system. So then that gives you a moral ground to continue in support or to uplift that system so that it can be able to survive. But once a system fails to deliver what is expected of it, then there's no reason for why we should continue to support such a system. And when it comes to Africa, for example, the system, the neoliberal system of democracy that was imposed on Africa, especially after independence, is a system which has failed tremendously. It is a system which has repeatedly failed to deliver the goods in Africa. And when they talk of delivering actually the successes, they talk of countries like Ghana, they talk of countries like South Africa, and they talk of countries like Botswana. And when you look at these countries critically, the only country which may be a little bit exceptional will be Botswana. But these other countries like Ghana and South Africa, which are so much put on a pedestal for us to, to look at as a model so that the other African countries can imitate. The people who normally put these countries on a pedestal is because they are benefiting in a certain way from the countries. Like I'll give you, for example, South Africa. The countries which are dominating South Africa, they are the multinationals and countries from countries countries like Europe, multinationals from countries like the United States. You see that they have over 500 multinational companies in South Africa. So they have a justification for always lifting these countries. When you come to Ghana, the countries which are dominating the four major export products in Ghana, cocoa, oil, and gold, they are all foreign countries from Canada and China, the US, Canada, the United States, and Europe. You see, so they are dominating the cocoa, they are dominating the gold, and so they have this justification of always lifting these countries up as models for us to imitate as African people. But in actuality, these are not systems which we are supposed to be supporting, because these are systems which have impoverished the African people. They have indeed not delivered for the last 50 years of independence, 50 to 60 years of independence in Africa. So these are systems which we need to weigh critically, and we have analyzed from the data, from the performance of these systems. We have analyzed that they have not delivered the goods they're supposed to deliver in Africa. That is when it comes to development and pulling people out of poverty. You can see that while China was pulling people, 700, 800 million people out of poverty, in Africa, it was a joke which is happening. And still, when you look at the data on manufacturing in Africa, the industries have been destroyed in Africa, which are supposed to be manufacturing, and instead there has been an increment. There has been a tremendous increment in the export of raw materials from Africa, while the industries, the indigenous industries which were started in the 60s and in the 70s, have been destroyed. So such a system, when you analyze it in such a way and you see that it is not working, then you have to be bold enough to say that this system is not working for us. And we as Africans, we need to be bold enough and say this is a system which is not working, and we need not to reform it, but actually destroy it and remove it, because the reforms have been done. Reforms have been done, honestly. Structural adjustments, Millennium Development Goals. Now we have SDGs. All these have been forms of reform. And everything we have been doing, these Europeans have been telling us. You know, they have been telling us, and we have been doing everything, all the recommendations, World Bank, all these, but the system still has not performed for us. So we have to be bold enough, especially we as a youth, we have to be bold enough to say that this is a system which is not working. It doesn't matter which political party you bring in power. It doesn't matter which type of politician you bring in this system of neoliberal, democracy, of Western neoliberal democracy, which is being imposed on us. We have to get rid of it. We have to be bold enough and say that we have to create a new system. And some people may ask, what is the new system that we are supposed to use? We have enough people, we have enough smart people who understand these political systems. So that is the first thing I would want people to understand, that there are people who understand political systems. And to be honest, Africa also has a right to experiment. It has a right to experiment and make mistakes and learn from it, just like China, how it has done, just like Singapore, South Korea, all these countries. They have learned from their mistakes and they have come out strong because they experimented with their own systems and their own culture. So that is the boldness with this, which Africa also has to approach the system which has failed, which this neoliberal Western democracy system which has failed. So Africa, as the youth, we have to start today to think about these things. We have to be bold enough. We have to push very, very strongly in this direction of politics so that we can reform, we can revolutionize and bring about a new system in Africa. Well, if we are saying that we want Africa to move as quickly as China has moved for the past period, as Singapore has moved for the past period, as Korea has moved for the past period, or as any other part of the world has moved for the past period of 40 to 30 years, because Africa kindly and honestly needs this kind of pace. It needs transformation, and the transformation has to be rapid. That transformation, it cannot be done in the current political and economic infrastructure and social put together, because these were colonial and colonial and neo-colonial political, economic and social infrastructure. That is why the trajectory has continued like that, that we have continued to ship out raw materials and no industries have been built, but there has been instead a collapse of industries, regardless of what political system you bring, regardless of what politician, of what political party you bring. So we need to look at these things critically and reject, just like what Nkrumah said, that we will reject anything which is not working for us. So we need to reject this system, that it has not worked for us. And we have to be bold enough and say that we are going to create a new system. So anyone who is near will say, what am I supposed to be doing as myself? What I would say, that join organizations which are fighting for Africa. We have organizations, a lot of organizations, the Rapid Africa Plan. We have the Kwame Nkrumah Ideological Institute. We have the PLO Lumumba. We have the ADDI of Dr. Chiombori Kwao. Let us go out and come together. Let us go to these organizations, come together and let us building. We have Global Pan-African Congress. We have World Pan-African Movement. We have Pan-African Congress. You see, organizations which are outside and working on alternative means of governance, alternative systems of economics, alternative systems of social organization of society, because the Western system has failed completely and it has not delivered for us as African people. Thank you for listening to me. I want to encourage you that you should subscribe to the channel, invite others, share the channel, comment, like, and invite others so that we can always be sharing together. We can be learning together when it comes to geopolitics as regards to Africa, history, and then current affairs. Thank you so much. My name is Kwame Gonza once again, and I'll see you next time. We will speak again. Thank you very much.